And in this hour, we're going to talk to some of the faces in the new American Revolution, led by Generation Y. And here with me now are Steven Crowder, comedian and Fox News contributor, Madeline McCulley, she's the blogger at faithandhopepolitics.com, Brandon Morse, creator of MisfitPolitics.co, and Hannah Giles, investigative journalist with the American Phoenix Foundation. I want to thank all of you for joining me this afternoon. I want to thank our very cool studio audience for joining us this afternoon. First and foremost, I'm going to throw this question out to all of you. Why is there this perception that the conservative movement, that conservatives are old and out of touch? Why? How did it get to be this way?
I think it's because a lot of conservatism, or at least the old school, has turned its back on pop culture as a whole. You know, like I said, in the last time we were on the set, you know, the media has become this big boogeyman that we have to fight against, but it's not something we need to fight against. We need to get involved with it, because what we put in there is what the culture changes to. So if we start as a movement, start getting more involved in culture, movies, video games, music, I guarantee you things are going to start getting a lot better at the polls and in politics.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think firstly, the reason the perception is there is because in a lot of ways it is true. Let's be honest, if you tune into a lot of cable news, if you tune into certain AM radio shows, it caters to an older audience because, like Brandon said, they have turned their back on young people. I mean, how many advertisements have you seen for investing in gold or a head-on roll-on headache cream where your pain is here? And it's not a good thing. And the truth is, listen, if you're a young person, particularly someone like me, you know, I'm 25, or someone a little bit younger, everything you watch tells you to be liberal. Whether you're watching TV, films, every song you listen tells you to be a liberal. Everything in the mainstream culture tells you to be a liberal.
Video games now, too.
Video games, and of course, if you go to college, you're being told to be a liberal. So if you're going to take the default political status of the day, you will be a liberal. Now, I guarantee you, if you were to poll the young conservatives here, these are people who know what they believe and why they believe it, because like you said, they're like salmon swimming upstream. By the way, I disagree with, I love Denny's, so I love Denny's. So that's the thing. They know they've had to defend themselves against professors, against TV, against films. They can go in and watch those things and be engaged in the culture, but they have to know why they defend what they believe. So what we need is for younger people to be more vocal, and not in the sense that you all need to join Young Republicans and be a Tucker Carlson lookalike bow tie foundation. That's fun, but be who you are. Be authentic. You know, look at Brandon. Look at the Converse. Can you get a close up on the Converse? This is just him. He's being real, and he happens to be conservative.
Yeah, and the flexibility that helps.
Well,
he does yoga.
I think it's a definition problem,
No,
because the nature of the word conservative, what do we want to conserve these days? Like, what in government is worth conserving right now? If you, from a true, you know, freedom-minded generation, we don't want to conserve what's going on. We want freedom. We want to be cool. We like culture. We like to listen to Rihanna. Like, you know, like, what is there to conserve? And so that definition, even as someone who is liberty-minded, justice-minded, that definition is scary, because we don't want to, you know, say that we're something that we're not.
It's like been co-opted. We want to conserve our liberty, but it's been really just absolutely hijacked to mean, well, let's conserve government instead, which is completely antithetical to what we stand for.
And the Republicans, let's be honest, are growing government the same rate that the Democrats are. So we have a very deep problem. And you know, Madeline is 16 years old. She, like...
I think she's is she the youngest person? Is there anyone else here under 16? No, she's the youngest person.
And honestly, every event I go to, I am the youngest person. That's just how it is.
But you're supposed to be old with blue hair.
I know, right? And I tend to
hair
shock
considered
people.
blue?
Yeah.
That is also, I've always wondered that. Sorry, we're interrupting the 16-year-old.
You're bullying the 16-year-old, Stephen. We'll talk. Well, I think it's when it's too gray it looks blue. Oh. Madeline.
Well, I think one of the things, kind of what they talked about, pop culture and whatnot, the media obviously controls the narrative, and the media, it seems like, especially the left-leaning, almost wants to bring America back to the history where it really was only men in politics. And so now this new media is coming out where there's young people, I mean, all of us here.
Right.
And they're shocked and they don't know what to do, and so they're still trying to paint this picture that you have to be an old white man to be in politics, and we're kind of defying that.
So it doesn't hurt.
Well, gosh.
I mean, I just play the numbers game. It's true, and that's, I think, a big part of people like Dana and people like Brandon and people like Hannah. That's why I've always seen you identify yourselves as conservatives and not Republicans.
I'm not a Republican.
No, exactly, because you threaten that old guard. You're an apostate. We've been told for years that there can't be a Dana Loesch.
That's a good way to
there
put it.
There can't be a Dana Loesch. You're a young woman with tattoos who's punk rock, who's a conservative. You might as well be a unicorn. You don't exist. And the same thing with, you have two wildly attractive young women who respect themselves, who are strong, feminine women here, and I mean that in a non-creepy way, who are conservative. They don't exist. Well, we're walking proof here that it does exist, and that's going to change things. But right now, a numbers game, yeah, old white guys, they run a Republican Party and a lot of politics.
And they keep getting the camera, too, is the problem. They know the left knows how to act. They know what they're doing, who they need to give to the camera. And whenever, we come out and say something, they do their best to ignore us.
Right.
And the problem is that, no matter what we do, we can't seem to get traction because the left already has this monopoly on the youth. We can sit there and tell people the emperor has no clothes, but then they'll come around and say, well, guess what? Having no clothes is in. And
that's a good way.
But that depends on where you are.
And maybe what you look like.
Politicians are power obsessed, power hungry by definition. So no matter whether they're claiming to be conservative or Republican or Democrat, they want power, they want the attention, and we're giving it to them. The youth is giving those politicians their jobs. They work for us, but we're not stepping up in a accurate manner to say, hey, you work for us, put the camera on us.
There's